What's up, it's your boy Hobo Turbo. Today, we're just going to have our first initial reaction on the update, and then tomorrow we'll have gameplay on the Rocket Gunners, but for now we're going to have to wait because they're not unlocked yet, and we don't have any footage from Ironhide yet, but for now we can at least look at the card in-game, check out its stats, and I've also heard from the beta testers good things. First, let's go over this patch, starting with this small roadmap we have here. For today's update, we're going to get new emotes, a Flash Stadium season, and a new tower for Summon Rift. And then in the future, we're going to get a new Stadium League system as well as a new arena with new heroes, spells, enemies, and boosters. I was saying before that we may have seen this at the end of December, and I was confused because we weren't going to get it with this next update. So it's cool to see that they're doing a shorter Stadium season so that they can deliver as fast as possible. I don't think people are going to mind that at all, and if anything, it's just more Stadium rewards for all of us. Then again, you still have to grind and get there. I personally didn't make it last season, and I'm probably not going to go for it again this season. I was in between what I was going to do last season, but since I'm not going to be hard grinding this season and waiting for that next content update, I don't really mind just staying behind. I can understand if people are a little bit disappointed, and this is also why I didn't have a video ready for today because there wasn't too much to talk about, but I am excited for this next big update coming soon, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about when that drops. So for what's new, we have 20 new emotes that do cost 250 gems each, a little bit out of touch in my opinion, but at least they're just cosmetic, and if anything it helps Ironhide generate revenue that isn't progression based. That is awesome, and if anything it's a step in the right direction in my opinion. You can have 8 emotes at once, kind of like Clash Royale, and they do encourage BMing, which is kind of interesting. So is Clash recently, so they're definitely trying to lean into that culture, I guess. And the emotes are really cool. I'll show you my favorites at the end. The emotes are also going to be on a rotating shop. You get 2 every 1 week. Kind of interesting how they're doing that. Maybe they'll add more over time, but I think for now this is fair. And then the Flash Stadium season, a shorter season but packed with the same rewards. This is fine. I'm just glad that they're trying to do a faster season so that they can get the bigger update out faster. And then December 5th, which is tomorrow, we'll have the new Summon Rift card, the Rocket Gunners. This is awesome, and I have a lot to talk about with this tower, and it was something that I was definitely not expecting, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to adding towers in the future as well. And then there are a few bug fixes. You can read them as they say it here. The Dissipate skill having a shorter cooldown is kind of wild. I don't think it's going to really affect much, and I don't think anything is really going to affect much here. However, there are some bugs going around. For example, the Merchant of Death booster is showing either incorrect numbers or they did nerf it. This is the before and after of tier 4, but the other tiers were also changed. We just don't know if it's just visual. I think the nerf is actually fair if it was a nerf, but a lot of people are complaining because it wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, which is completely fair. If we see changes, we want to see them in the patch notes. We basically haven't gotten a patch without there either being bugs or things that have been changed, so we'll be asking the devs to address this, so I'm not too worried about it. There are a few other small things here and there, but for now, this is the main thing. And then we're getting a brand new season coming soon. This should be good for progression overall, and with Stadium Leagues, I would love to see level caps at different Stadium ranks. That would be amazing for progression, and we probably won't see it, but if they do, I'm going to give Ironhide a lot of credit there. Otherwise, I don't really see the point in adding leagues right now. I feel like there isn't too much of a level gap between most players for it to make a massive difference, but we'll see. So now let's hop into the game, and before we talk about the Rocket Gunner, let's check out the emote system. Yes, I bought both of the emotes, and these are the current 2 in the rotation right now. The Goofy Goblin, and then the Despair Gerald, I believe. Both really cool, and they do have their own sound effects. Let me turn my ringer on. And then we can see the different ones down here. My personal favorite is the Hacksaw. Even though I can't hear it because I'm recording, that is an awesome voice line. And I do also really like the Allure one for Onslaught. I think that'll be a cool one. But you'll find them in the shop over here. And again, they're 250 gems on a 7-day rotation. Now let's go to the Rocket Gunners. These, I'm really happy they added. I'll just say that right off the bat. The main reason being is because if you saw my Alliance video from yesterday, which by the way, I have to give an apologies to Alliance yesterday. I said it didn't deserve the Labor of Love award, and I regret saying that. When I really think about it, Alliance was the game that I went back to the most that had already released in the past. So at the end of the day, for me, it really does deserve that Labor of Love award. Even if there are other games out there that probably deserve it over it, I gotta give it to Alliance because it is the one I played the most. This channel also may have not been made if it wasn't for the Wukong DLC. even though I did make it for battles. And so this tower is from Alliance, and it's really nice to see another barracks, but what I really like to see is this right here. Aerial Maneuver. This is our first micro ability for a tower, and it's huge. If you guys haven't played the other Kingdom Rush games, I was talking about it a lot in my Alliance video yesterday, how I wanted to see towers in battles like the Bamboo Masters, which is a barracks that has a micro ability that allows them to teleport back to where the tower spot is, turning them into a ranged tower. Or the Twilight Longbows, where you can either choose to target the highest HP enemy or the enemy that's in first. I think these little gameplay mechanics go a long way for increasing the skill ceiling for most towers. And that's what we want to see out of epic towers and legendary towers. We don't just want them to be really good, set them and forget them. We want them to actually take some skill. Or at least I do. So amazing that we're seeing our first micro ability tower here already, and it couldn't have come at a better time, being another barracks that we really needed. I haven't tested it yet, but I've heard it's pretty good. And if we see here, what really stands out to me is that they scale at their level with their range. So you see they went from 130 range to 150 range to 170 range at level 3. And that's really impactful for me because even though this is level 5, if we compare it to the Barbarians, for example, just ignore the damage because it's not fair to compare the damage, but you can see that their ranged attack for the throwing axes doesn't increase. So I think that's going to make a massive difference. Now compared to the archery scouts, I actually haven't looked, so let's check that out. Let's not buy gems. No thank you. I already bought gems buying those emotes. Archery scouts. Their range does increase a little bit, and that is a little bit more when they're at max, but that's pretty good for the rocket gunners too, considering they can fly. I really like that. And before I talk about their skills, I gotta talk about their lore. Elite Dark Army troopers trained in both sky and ground, patrolling the battlefield with ruthless precision. They shift from sturdy frontline guardians to soaring hunters that strike enemies with relentless firepower. And these guys were based off Mandalorians. They even have Mandalorian voice lines in Alliance, which is pretty cool. And then for the two skills, they have this awesome phosphoric coating ability that reduces armor reduction on every hit, just like in Alliance, but it's 2% here instead of 1% like in Alliance. Although I think that scales in Alliance, I'm not 100% sure. This is going to create awesome synergies with the Sorcerer and other towers that can maybe take away armor. And then you also have the Sting Missile, which is an instant elimination, as well as doing a crazy amount of damage to bosses and probably high-level boosters. This is going to be really good. And the only thing that I'm concerned about is that they may be a little bit expensive in-game, but just like Alliance, that's how they are in that game. So I think that if the trade-off is good, it'll be one of the better, if not the best barracks in the game, and it's going to be a lot of fun to use. The micro potential with these guys is awesome, and while it is a little bit annoying in Alliance, I think it's going to be a lot better in a game like Battles. And something that I thought about instantly when I saw this was, since you're going to have the rocket gunners in the air most of the time, I think Icy Zone is going to go from S tier to S++ tier. You could disagree with me on that, but that's just my feeling. And then also, it's really cool that they have 25% armor at level 1. That's huge. And even though that doesn't scale, I think it's still really good. I thought it was really good compared to the Paladins, but then I realized the Paladins does scale. So, just something to keep in mind. 25% armor is still really good. And then the very last thing, their passive, Infantry Fortitude, 2% increased allies' armor. That is something that we've seen on Aegeon, for example. But even Aegeon only has 1%. So, yeah, I mean, you guys can be the judge of that. It'll be interesting. Maybe we'll combine Aegeon with the rocket gunners, and that's the missing piece that we've been looking for when it comes to trying out Aegeon. We'll definitely be trying that later. Stay tuned. I just can't give my full impressions yet because I haven't been able to try them, but I'm super excited, and if you're excited, stay tuned, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace out.